Okay, on to passage 2, and this is called Why Being Bored is Stimulating and Useful Too. So we have list of matching headings, and one of these matching people with a statement or idea, and a short summary. So really up to you. If you want to start with the matching headings, that's fine. I would probably leave this for last. But I like to start with the summary or the gap fill. Sometimes it can help with the matching headings. So I would go with this first. Let's find where it comes from. Scan for John Eastwood. So John Eastwood, we will see, is over there. We know that it's the first time we see him because they say who he is and where he works. So they introduce him there. But please notice that it's also over there. An important thing is that they use this word over here, and that comes in over there as well. So it tells us we're probably looking at both of these paragraphs, not just one, D and E. Right, then what else can we scan for? There's just 3 here, so we could really dive in and start them. Let's find central feature. And then of course this, because it's in inverted commas, that will help us. So central feature and attention system are over here. So be careful with summaries. They don't they often don't take it directly from a single target sentence like they do in other gap fills, but we're around here somewhere. The very important thing to notice with this is what kind of word are we looking for. Please remember to check your grammar. Does your grammar help you? What comes after can? Can is a modal verb. What comes after a modal verb? A verb. We are looking for a verb, so that's quite unusual. Usually with these things it's nouns. Here we know we're looking for a verb. People cannot do what? People cannot do something. They've mixed it up, they've changed this and put it later and put that before, but we're over here and then possibly the next one as well. So look for a verb there where people cannot do something. What we cannot do, inability means you can't do something, and there's your verb. Even if you didn't get inability, which verbs are you going to choose here? Is, put, cause, focus, make, seem, go. It'll only be one of those. So of course there's our answer there. Right, then these next are a little bit more difficult actually. Let's just check the grammar. Something is. So we know that this then must be single or uncountable, but this one can be anything. Characteristic of something, probably uncountable. So usually that would help us, but it helps us if it's single. There is no over here, so that probably means that it's just an uncountable noun. It's not so easy, this one. That's probably quite important to notice. You're looking for some kind of a contrast. What else can we see in this sentence? We're talking about people. I think that's an important thing to notice. And we're talking about 2 kinds of characteristics. This is an aim in their life, and this is a characteristic. Another thing to notice, this is quite negative. An important aim in life may have problems. The people who have this aim in their life have problems. That's negative. However, the contrast, those who have this positive thing can cope. Cope means to deal, to manage. So that might help you a little bit to find what we're looking for. A negative thing compared to a positive thing. So there they introduce the traits. Now a word for characteristic is trait. That's important vocabulary. So this is where they have introduced the characteristics. Here's the people. Remember they said those and those. So here we're talking about the people. And then here is the negative thing. Suffer. They suffer badly. They have problems coping with boredom. And then where is the uncountable noun there? It's over there. Then the contrast is the other personality traits and characteristic of, trait of, and there is an example of a characteristic, are associated with a high threshold. This is actually positive. It's difficult language. It means they can handle boredom well. They have a high threshold. So it wasn't easy to find. You know you were looking for uncountables. You know you were looking for a contrast. That helped you with the contrast. You know you were looking for people, and you know you were looking for something negative and then something positive. All of those should have directed you toward these two answers over here. This was an important sentence. It introduced the traits, the characteristics. So the first one was pleasure, second one was curiosity. So right, I think the main thing to notice there is that this verb really helped you. You knew you were looking for a verb. These two were quite difficult. It's a reading 2 summary, so they get a little bit difficult. There was nothing that helped you directly, but there were 3 or 4 things that all contributed to help you indirectly. I think the main thing is you knew you were looking for an uncountable over there, and a characteristic is usually an uncountable as well. So you knew you were looking for uncountables. Right, then let's move on to the matching headings. Right, so let's look at the matching headings. Now, before you do this, I would like you to make sure you've gone and watched my matching headings videos. They're in the grammar and strategy playlist, so that you know what I'm talking about. There I give you a 3-phase strategy for doing matching headings. So in that series of videos, those 3 videos, we created this document over here, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And what I want to focus on in this matching headings, this reading, is it's not always the first sentence. Sometimes it's the first and the second sentence. Maybe matching reading 1, it'll be the first sentence, but it really depends on the style of the writer, whether the first sentence of the paragraph is his topic sentence. Some writers don't do it like that, and this is a very good example, so let me show you what I mean. This writer over here, he does something like this. This psychologist, all this is just support information, it's useless for matching headings, goes further. This woman goes further. Now that's nothing. That means nothing for us for our matching headings and for finding the topic of the sentence. So in this kind of example, you really need to go to the next sentence as well. Again, he does it again over here. As you can see, it's the style of this writer. This psychologist isn't convinced. What does that help us? It helps us nothing for matching headings. So there you really need to go to the next sentence. Also notice, these are quite big paragraphs. There's a lot of information. So in the bigger paragraphs, it's more likely that you will have to look at the first and second sentence. So I'm going to go back to this document and say, check first and sometimes second sentences. And you kind of need to develop a feeling for when you should focus in this first phase on the first sentence, and when you actually see that the first sentence is completely useless and you really actually need to go to the second sentence as well. The 2 ways that we've seen is big paragraphs, probably first and second sentence, and then also look at the style of the writer. Maybe his first sentences are just meaningless, and then you will need to use the second one. So for phase 1, for this matching headings, we're going to check first and second sentences. Right. We all know how it feels. It's impossible to keep your mind, and all the things you could do make you feel better. But defining boredom so that it can be studied in the lab has proved difficult. Please notice the contrast marker but over there. So here comes his important information. He's saying we all know what boredom is, but defining boredom so that it can be studied in the laboratory is difficult. All right. So as you can see, this is just an introduction preparation sentence. Here's the but, and here is what he's trying to say. Let's go to our headings. The productive outcomes that may result. No, we're not looking at outcomes. What teachers? I didn't see anything about teachers. A new explanation, a new cure. No. Problems with a scientific approach to boredom. That's great. A scientific approach in the laboratory, and problems is something negative. Potential danger arising? No. Creating a system of classification? Maybe that could be something about the laboratory. Age groups? No. People identifying? No. So we're looking at this one or this one. However, this was a very important word in the whole thing. It's the end focus, the end of this, but, and here's the important information, and then the end of it. So we really want something difficult, something negative. And studied in the lab is the scientific, something scientific. There's our difficult, there's scientific approach. Here, there was nothing negative. We didn't have anything about it being difficult, so I think you can skip it if you want, but I'm quite confident that this one should be okay to choose immediately as number 4. Right. By asking people about their experiences, this guy, they identified 5 types. Okay, so that immediately makes me very interested. We love this kind of language. Remember, IELTS loves this kind of language. 3 factors, 4 advantages, 5 types, 6 characteristics. So that definitely you're going to highlight 5 types. And then these can be plotted on 2 axes, blah, 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 blah. How positive or negative? I think it's going a little bit far. He's talking about 2 axes, which is a graph, an X and a Y graph. So he's actually changing the subject here. So I think this first, in this case, the first sentence is actually enough. Is there anything there? The 5 types of boredom. Productive outcomes, this is results, no. Teachers, no. Explanation, new cure, no. I'm going to delete that, we've done it. A danger, no. Creating a system of classification for feelings of boredom. Great, the 5 types of boredom. We are classifying boredom, I like that. Age groups, no. Identified people, no. So that one, first sentence, should be okay. It's not easy, remember this is reading 2, but I'm quite confident about that one. So where were we? Paragraph B. Right, paragraph C. This guy, as I said before, that means nothing. What we need more. All emotions are there for a reason, including boredom. Emotions, reason, productive outcome, no. Teachers, explanation, danger, age groups, identifying. Nothing really, but I can delete a lot of that. There's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that. This is looking really good for that. They're saying the emotions are there for a reason. They have a result. So, but let's skip it. It wasn't close enough. We can skip it. We look at it in phase 2. He's not convinced. That means nothing. If you're in a state of mind-wandering, you are not bored. I don't remember anything. Teachers, explanation, danger, no. Skip it. They're trying to explore why the attention system fails. And maybe a little bit further. But that's probably going to be important. They think at least some of it comes down to personality. The attention system fails because of personality. Productive outcomes, remember, fails is kind of negative. No, maybe, no. Okay, so nothing there. And the last one, he says that our over-connected lifestyles might be a new source of boredom. I remember that, very interesting. Remember, end of that sentence. A new source of boredom. I remember the word new, a new explanation, and a new cure. Age groups, most affected, potential danger, teachers. This is quite a short paragraph, so I would actually delve a little bit deeper. A new explanation and a new cure. So instead of seeking out, we should leave our phones alone, use boredom to engage with the world. So there's cure. The cure is leave our phones alone. So that one helped me a lot. A new source and a new explanation is why we're bored, our lifestyles, our over-connected lifestyles, the new explanation and a new cure. It was a short paragraph, so I went into sort of phase 2 over here. But that word gave me a clue. So I'm happy enough that that first sentence gave me this one. be careful, it could easily have been a false heading. They'll use that word new to create a false heading. But I read the paragraph a bit more, seems fine. So that was paragraph F and 3. Alright, so phase 1, check first, sometimes second sentences of this actually gave us 3. They weren't easy, but they were close enough. So now we can move on to phase 2, where we're looking at structural language. We're looking for positive and negative feelings, maybe tenses, vocab, and numbers or dates. Okay, so now we're going to go to phase 2. We're going to skim the paragraphs, look for some structural language, see if we can get positive or negative feelings. I don't think there's anything about tenses in this. I don't think there's anything about numbers and dates, maybe some repeated things. So let's take a look. Paragraph C. Now you want to skim quite quickly and see if you can see any linking language. There's some talking over there. No linking language yet. This is kind of linking language. It's an experiment published last year. Here is her conclusion. That's probably quite important, and this is quite important. In fact, so watch out for this kind of thing. This is a concluding sentence for the paragraph. So often a topic of the paragraph will be here. What do they say? In fact, she goes as far as to suggest that we should seek out more boredom in our lives. So why? Why should we seek out more boredom in our lives? A passive, boring activity is best for creativity. It allows the mind to wander. All right, maybe. Anything positive or negative? Does this paragraph have a positive or a negative feeling? All emotions are there for a reason. Being bored makes us more creative. In actual fact, it leads to amazing things. Here, this whole thing is just about the experiments. Boring is best for creativity. There's a bit of repetition over there about the creativity, and that's enough of a skim. We see creativity. Positive or negative? Definitely it's a positive. Amazing things, creativity, these are positive things. Let's look at our headings. The productive outcomes that may result from boredom. Productive is a positive word. It means you produce something. It means it was constructive, productive. Teachers, nothing. Danger, no, that's negative. Age groups, I didn't see. So a quick read of that, a quick skim of that should show you that it's a positive paragraph. And we want then a positive heading. And that's the only positive heading left. It just shows you this positive, negative thing is quite powerful for matching headings. So I'm quite happy with that. What are the positive outcomes? It makes us more creative. They repeated creative twice. So creative is an important word in that. Let's go with 1C1. Great, next. D. He's not convinced. If you're on a mind wandering, you're not bored. Boredom is an undesirable. Notice, ends of the sentences, Ends of the sentences. End of the sentence, creative. End of this clause, creativity. Start with a new sentence with a because there. Undesirable state. So this is all negative now. Talking about pain. Bad things would happen to us. It can be toxic if it's allowed to fester. This is strong language. Toxic means poisonous. Boredom can be poisonous. Inability to focus. Time goes painfully slowly. Most worryingly. Not much linking language, but a lot of negative language. Don't know what to do anymore. Don't care anymore. I'm just getting a very negative feeling from this. Let's look at so we've got not really much there, but we've definitely got a negative feeling. A lot of negative stuff is repeated. So let's see what we've got. Nothing about teachers. A danger arising from boredom. That's nice and negative. Age groups most affected. I didn't see it. Identifying those who are most affected. I didn't see it. Let's just check again. Anything about people who are most affected? People, no. Most worryingly, okay, but that's not most affected. I don't see anything about most affected. The danger of boredom is what I like. It's a very negative heading with a negative paragraph. Let's go with that one. Again, the positivity and the negativity helped us. And last one, what have we got left? Remember our summary helped us with this a little bit. We're talking about the personality traits, people who are this, and other personality traits, characteristics. So this is types of people, and that ties in well with what we're looking for over here. Most affected by boredom, those most affected by boredom. Is it those, or is it age groups? I remember we saw in our summary, we had those twice over here, so that might help us. We're talking about those who like pleasure, those who like. It's the types of people who are affected by boredom negatively. What else do we see? But of course, cannot kill. What can we do to alleviate it? One suggestion. What is the suggestion? Approach a boring situation. So there's something about teenagers. I saw something about young people, maybe age groups. So now you can sort of see I don't really see anything there. The summary helped us a little bit, but we're at the end now, so we might as well just go into this paragraph, read for detail. We've got the other ones, just read the last one for detail. And we get a little bit of help from the summary. It's telling us about the people, the types of people who are affected by boredom, but it's quite clear that they've made a trick over here. They've made a trap. This is just about an experiment that they did when they worked with teenagers, and then they've said that these age groups are most affected by boredom. We don't know that. We're looking definitely at this one, those most affected by boredom. It's the types of people with certain personality traits seem to suffer very badly, and those ones have a high threshold. And there we go, more or less prone to boredom. Prone means to be affected, able to be affected by it. Those who bore easily. So this is how much people are affected by boredom. So detailed reading of this makes it quite clear that paragraph is 8. And that's it. That wasn't such a bad matching headings. We got 3 from phase 1, 2 from phase 2, and 3 and 1 from the last phase. Great. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because the video is getting a bit too long. So, of course, find these, scan for these. Let's see where they are. Tuhi is up there. That immediately makes me quite interesting because there's only one sentence by him. Goods is this whole paragraph. We ignore this paragraph. Eastwood we'll probably leave to the end because it's 2 paragraphs. Be careful. Goods is there again. And this also makes me quite interested because there's not much there. So let's start with Tuhi and go to Wemmelsvelde after that. What does Tuhi say? Just check. It's not really about saying. It's about ideas. So in previous question types like this, I've said only look at what they say when they use language like according to, or he said that, or suggests that. It's not this one. It's just their idea. So it can be slightly different language. Anyway, what has Tuhi got to say? What's his idea? Just check again with all of these. Make sure that's the first time they mention it. They introduce the person. He compares it. What is it? It is boredom, to disgust, an emotion that motivates us to stay away from certain situations. If disgust protects humans from infection, boredom may protect them from infectious social situations. The way we live today may encourage boredom. No. One sort of boredom is worse than others. No. The future. No. No. Yes. Boredom may encourage us to avoid an unpleasant experience. Motivates us to stay away from certain situations. Avoid, stay away, unpleasant experience, infectious social situations. Right. They didn't say you can use a letter more than once, so we can delete this once we've used it. So Tuhi is E. Right, then we want to go to this one because he also didn't say a lot. In our modern society, a lot of overstimulation. Instead of seeking more stimulation, leave our phones alone, use boredom to motivate us to engage with the world. The way we live today may encourage boredom. Yes, modern society. Worse than the others. No. This is a trick. There's nothing about the future and that they may fall. Increase negative effects. No. So the key lies in this word. The way we live today may encourage boredom. our over-connected lifestyles might be a new source of boredom. So Wemmelsfelder is A. Great. Now remember the negativity and positivity. Eastwood, he was saying a lot of negative things. One sort of boredom worse than the others, that's negative, may fall in the future, we don't know. Increased negative effects. So, okay, Eastwood is B or D. What does Gut say? He identified the 5 types. You see, you have to scan all of this. And it's over here. Of the 5 types, the most damaging is this boredom, reactant boredom. So that means one type of boredom is more damaging than the others, the most damaging. One sort of boredom is worse than all of the others. So that was Gut's. And then at this stage, even if you want to guess, there's nothing about the future. We know what Eastwood said. He's saying increased negative effects. Boredom has got a lot of negative effects. I'll just show you where it is. The efforts to improve the situation can make you feel worse. So trying to address the boredom can increase the negative effects. And so just the negativity of Eastwood's paragraphs can give us that answer. And there you go. Right, I had to go quite quickly through that. But I think quite straightforward. Great, thank you.